Hello everybody, Steve for Who Took My Dice, Ultramarines Beyond, and welcome to my How to Fix Space Marines video. So obviously, we got a whole bunch of points drops, some rules, clarifications, updates for a whole bunch of armies, but I'm talking specifically Space Marines, Codex Space Marines, this beautiful tome of awesomeness here. It's been a little bit now. I just had some general, specific units that I want to talk about, and a big general rule at the end of how I think there's ways to keep fixing Space Marines. Obviously, all this is in terms, was brought out to balance things out, and Space Marines, I believe, are like a 40% win rate, which isn't good at all. And I guess they're trying to help Marines do better. I mean, Guilliman God drop a points drop. The Reavers got a points drop. The Reavers are much maligned, and I'm going to get to them in a second. But there's other things that can be done to improve things like Reavers. But there's a big rule, not a rule, I should say, a big change that I think Codex Space Marines needs to do. And it's something that actually benefit all Space Marines and some other armies as well. But first off, I want to get to Reavers in this book. So Reavers got a points drop, which is great. I love Reaver. I think the way they look is cool. The Phobos armor, the skulls, this unit that's supposed to drop out of nowhere, whether they're dropping in with the grab shoots or their jets or swinging on the grapple lines. It's a unit that's supposed to be this guerrilla warfare sort of thing. Come in, just savage the enemy, and then move on. And unfortunately, they don't really do that well. Whether you take the bolt carbine or the special issue bolt pistol and their combat blade, they just don't do enough damage. And their rules, while I get what they're doing with the rules, Furious Assault and their terror troops thing, the Furious Assault allows any unit with engagement range has to take a battle shock test, and they have that aura, the terror troops, that anything with 6 inches, it's -1 to that. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to represent the fear that this unit is supposed to bring by popping out of nowhere or charging in. Units are, if they fail the battle shock test, OC becomes 0. They can't use enhancements or stratagems or what have. So not enhancements, stratagems. If they try and fall back, there's a danger of that as well, which I get what they're trying to do, but to me, it's just not very effective what they're supposed to do. I think the shock isn't supposed to be their appearance. I mean, it is, but it isn't supposed to be something like, oh, we're stunned, so we're not gonna. The shock is that the unit is suddenly there. It's powerful. It's ripping through your buddies. It's ripping through your unit. It's just decimating everything and then moving on. I think the real psychological part, and correct me if you don't agree with this, it would be afterwards when another unit from the enemy army came by and found their buddies ripped to pieces, blood and gore everywhere. I think, honestly, something Furious Assault should do something along the lines of maybe allowing them to reroll hits. I mean, I know that's something that Oath of the Moment does, but reroll hits. Terror Troops should do something along the lines of making your opponent -1 to hit. Or, a Furious Assault lets you fight first. Right? It's just, or, have extra attacks, something to represent this massive assault, this huge Marines coming in and just obliterating everything. The terror troops, again, -1 hit. The enemy is either completely terrified or shocked or stunned or something when this unit comes in. To me, that would make them more effective. It's cool to have a chance to make an enemy unit become OC 0. Which is great. It's a small elite unit. If you can make a couple units OC 0, you can take objective from them for a bit, get yourself those sweet victory points. But to me, these are Marines, and their number one job is, yes, this is a unit that would sneak around, cause problems in the back lines, so chaos and discord in there. But they're Marines. Their primary role is to kill stuff in the name of the Emperor. So it's great that you might be able to make these units scared for a bit, but they're still there. And this unit should be causing that fear by completely wiping stuff out. And there's something in that last one that would help in this overall need to destroy stuff. Right? The next one is our lovely little Lieutenant in Reaver armor. This is another one that was cool, because there's a massive oversight with the Reaver, Lieutenant Reaver armor, in the fact that he has a master crafted special issue bolt pistol. And for the longest time, it has been AP 0. Whereas the special issue bolt pistols for the Reavers are AP -1. They finally fixed that, which seems to me a little bit of an oversight. That should have been fixed from day one, because it just didn't make sense that all of a sudden he has a less effective but better bolt pistol than the guys he's leading in. All right. Again, for him, you know, he allows you to have lethal hits, and he has like Master of Terror. I believe that's what it is. I'm not remembering very well right now. But which increased the aura of that terror troop thing from 6 to 9 inches. Again, good, but for me, that should be something where he allows his unit to maybe fight first there. He is the Master of Terror. Just something allows that unit to be buffed more, other than just lethal hits, but allows them to do something more in that terms of actually removing enemy models. Again, it's great that you've pushed that aura to 9 inches, but if your enemies are really close, those extra inches really don't matter that much. And again, it's units within, you know, it's difficult. And again, this is a unit that might be a support unit. Maybe there's something else, like say Marines causing, battle shock tests on enemy units, because they do that too with their pyre blasters. In fact, I think that Terror Troops rule the way it is now should probably go on to Marines. Because a Space Marine unit just jumping down and scaring the bejesus out of you before they rip you to shreds, I mean, you're terrified for a second and then you're dead. For me, Marines, these are Marines that aren't hiding. They're walking up the battlefield. They're literally setting everything on fire. If they hit you, if you somehow survive, you, your buddies, and everything around you are on fire. To me, that makes something like that would be better for them, because that to me, it's a lot more terrifying. You go, you're dead. You're not really terrified anymore. You're dead. But when everything's on fire around you, and even if it doesn't kill you, everything and everyone around you is on fire. That would terrify me even more, because I know I'm probably next. That would cause me to, you know, soil myself and not give a damn about trying to capture an objective, because everything's on fire. I don't know. That leads me to the big one. The big solution I see, and again, I could be completely wrong. Leave comments below if you disagree. And I know December's coming, and I know we're going to see something else, but this is a big one for me, and it's one that's bothered me since, day one of 8th edition. And it starts with the now lowly bolter. All right, so if you remember back to before 8th, or maybe you're brand new within 8th, 9th, or 10th edition, and you don't know how AP worked back in the day, the Holy Bolter back then was a Strength 4 AP 5 weapon. That's a bit different than now. What that AP meant, say something like Bolter Strength 4, that hasn't changed. AP 5, it meant that if the Bolter hit and wounded something, any target that it hit and wounded that had an armor save of 5+ or 6+ did not get that save, right? So orcs, guardsmen, anything with a 5+ save didn't get one if they were, outside of cover. Cover worked differently back then there too, but it tore through stuff, right? Bolters were something you did not want to get in front of, because there was a lot of stuff that they would rip through. A heavy bolter, for instance, was Strength 5 AP 4. Strength 5 is the same, but again, with that AP 4, anything with a 4+, a 5+ or 6+ armor save did not get that save. It was a huge, large caliber, very penetrating round that would rip things apart, or to pieces apart, however you want to say it. Obviously, with 8th edition coming in, it changed some stuff. You look at things like the bolter rifle became Strength 4 AP 1. Even now, it's still Strength 4 AP 1 damage, or AP -1 damage. And that seems to be a general trend with a lot of things with Space Marines. A lot of these weapons, and there's still lots of units. I mean, obviously, tactical squads. I think everybody tactical squads will love to see them do better. But even things like your Infernus Marines have bolt pistols that are AP 0. For me, and I'll say this specifically about any sort of bolt weapon, any and all bolt weapons, for a minimum, at a very minimum, should be AP -1. All of them. Bolters, the Oculus bolt carbine, bolter carbines, marksman carbines, whatever, any of those ones should all be AP -1. These are bolters. The round is designed to penetrate into something and explode. As is right now, if I'm firing at Catacan guardsmen, this round that's meant to penetrate stuff can be deflected by their white t-shirts. You have orcs in rags and torn up, beast claw skin that are bolter rounds are bouncing off of, right? Which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, right? I get that's in the balance and all, but Space Marines are meant to be destroying stuff. They have some of the best equipment in the Imperium. They have weapons and ammunition that are designed to penetrate armor, right? Even things like the blades, the combat blades of Reavers, or the lieutenant with a combi weapon. Those are specially made blades that are able to slice through armor, right? You also take in X factors like skill and fighting. You should be able to find the holes in armor and take stuff out. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, definitely bolters. And I know that people, oh, well, then what's the point of having a bolter rifle if your bolter is the same thing? Well, there's a difference here. A bolter rifle is heavy and assault has those special rules, so it allows your intercessors to act in a different way. They can stay back, shoot at full effect and hit better, or they can make their big assault move and still shoot, which puts them in sort of a different category than, say, a tactical squad, which will move up, can claim objectives, add some nice close range fire support or long range or specialized weapon support to other units moving up. They can hold those objectives and still start putting out some actual damage. Terminators have storm bolters, right? Terminators are supposed to be some of the most elite Space Marines. They've done great things. They fought big battles. They've earned the right for the Crux Terminatus, to wear sacred Terminator armor. Storm bolters, 2 shots, rapid fire, 4 shots up close, strength 4, and yet they can't penetrate anything. You're giving your most elite warriors guns that can't punch through white t-shirts. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that would be one of my big fixes. All bolt weapons, minimum of AP -1. Heavy bolters should be AP -2. You're firing at much larger caliber round than a bolt rifle or a bolt pistol or a bolt carbine, and somehow this thing barely gets through stuff. This should be at minimum an AP -2 weapon. I think that would generally help. It'd also help things like Sisters of Battle with their battle line, your General Sisters, Heretic Astartes, Legionnaires. It would help a lot of other armies out there put out some more damage. Now, some of those armies don't need it, and of course points would have to go up and down again, especially if you're trying to balance things. But these are Space Marines. They're supposed to be good at killing stuff, and that even goes to things like Pyroblasters. You have a strength 5 weapon that doesn't have any armor penetration whatsoever. I get it, it's a flamer, but back in the day, flamers had AP as well. And armor really doesn't matter when you're being cooked by fire in your armor, right? So again, I think specifically bolters in general, I think for the most part, as long as you're armed with a basic close combat weapon, if you've got some sort of extra special weapon, whether it's combat blades like Reavers, all the way up to storm bolters and all that, everything in a Space Marine army should be AP -1. It takes in the fact that they have better weapons. It takes in the fact that they're stronger, right? A guardsman is strength 3. If he tries to stab something, he's only got his normal strength. And, a normal guardsman is probably stronger than the average human being nowadays, right? They're trained for war. They can probably do some damage. But a Space Marine is a giant 9-foot-tall killing machine that can crush a man's head with his bare hands outside of his armor. You put him in his armor, you give him specialized, not even that specialized, just Space Marine level gear. A combat blade for a Space Marine is like a sword for anybody else. They're huge. You should be able to punch through armor better than the average Joe. So for me, I think in general, any weapon in the Space Marine arsenal should be at bare minimum AP -1. And that goes for Chaos Space Marines too, and World Eaters and Thousand Suns and all that. Everything should be punching through. They're Space Marines. To me, it's just that simple. To me, it's just that basic. It was great to see points go down. Some units went up. It was cool to see some new rules, some changes here that made sense. And again, December, who knows what's going to happen. We could see something really cool happen. Heck, I might be on the right track on this, and they could do this. Everything AP -1. You know, every weapon starts punching through armor like it should. I can be completely off my rocker crazy, and who knows, maybe it's a little bit of both. But I'm going to end it there because I've kind of said my piece on it. These are some of the very specific and general things that I think could help fix Space Marines. I did go with Reavers because I really like the Reavers, and I think they deserve a chance to be a really cool unit. But thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I loved getting comments if you think I've got it on, or right where like I've hit the nail on the head, or if I'm wrong and you think I'm crazy. I always love reading comments. I really appreciate them. As always, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you next video. Keep rolling those dice. Bye.